Today, we're diving into a major story in the tech world: Google's ongoing antitrust battles. From search engines to advertising, Google's influence is enormous, but now it's facing legal challenges that could reshape the tech industry. Let's look at why this is happening and what it might mean for us all. In the US, Google's facing a high-profile lawsuit from the Department of Justice, or DOJ. The DOJ claims Google has created a monopoly in online search. Here's how. Google has deals with companies like Apple and major smartphone manufacturers that make Google Search the default search engine on nearly 80% of smartphones and devices across the country. The DOJ argues that these default agreements shut out rival search engines and prevent competition by locking in users who might not actively switch to an alternative search engine. In fact, many of us just stick with whatever search engine our phone or browser has by default. Google, however, defends these practices, saying they make user experience simpler and faster, sort of like placing popular products at eye level in a store. Google claims it's simply meeting user expectations. But the DOJ argues this setup gives Google an unfair advantage, potentially stifling competition and innovation. The second big part of the case involves digital advertising, where Google controls several key tools, like Google Ads and AdX. The DOJ claims that Google has used its dominant position in the ad tech market to favor its own ad services over competitors, making it hard for other players to break in. Critics say that Google's grip on ad tech is so tight, it's virtually impossible for smaller companies to compete, which ultimately hurts the advertisers, publishers, and consumers relying on a fair market. Google disagrees here too, arguing that it faces strong competition from other major platforms like Facebook and Amazon, which also capture big shares of online advertising. But the DOJ insists that Google's contracts and policies make it difficult for smaller players to operate freely in the ad space, reinforcing its own dominance. So, what could this mean for everyday users like us? If the DOJ wins, we could see Google forced to change how it sets up default search options, potentially giving other search engines a better shot. Think of it like when Microsoft had to unbundle Internet Explorer from Windows in the early 2000s. It could open up new choices for consumers and new opportunities for competitors. Supporters of the DOJ say this could bring more variety and encourage innovation by leveling the playing field. But Google warns that these changes could disrupt services that many users actually prefer. It's not just the US though. Google's facing similar scrutiny worldwide. The European Union has fined Google multiple times, arguing it's using its market position to stifle competition. Countries like Australia and India have also started investigations into Google's practices, echoing the DOJ's concerns. There's clearly a global trend toward questioning how much power one tech company should have in our digital lives. So what's next? If Google loses, we might see stricter regulations on data, privacy, and search options, not just in the US, but globally. But if Google wins, it could set a precedent for other big tech companies to continue similar practices without as much risk of pushback. Ultimately, these cases are about balancing innovation with fair competition. The big question remains: will these antitrust actions protect consumer choice, or will they disrupt the tech system we've come to rely on? Only time will tell.